Welcome to this week's episode of the Sports Zone. I'm Hillary Hunt. Alongside me are Josh Cook and Trevor Pruitt.
This weekend was a busy one for the Diamond Dogs. Let's see how they did, plus more in this week's Mississippi State Corner.
The Mississippi State baseball team had a perfect weekend as they won all 4 games in the double round robin tournament at Dudy Noble Field. The Bulldogs battled back from a 4-0 deficit in the 7th inning to beat UConn on Friday and exploded for an 8-run 4th inning to defeat Lipscomb 16-6 on Sunday. With these comeback wins, what does this say about the character of the Bulldogs?
I think it says a lot. I mean, this year's baseball team was expected to be good, but we didn't really know how good. And we've played some tough teams early on in the season. Washington State's a team that's projected to make the NCAA tournament. UConn, that we defeated both times this weekend, is a team that was in the Super Regionals last year. Very good team. With these comeback wins, I think it gives us a lot of good momentum going into SEC play. And if you want to potentially host a regional, I know it's a long ways down the road, but if you want to potentially host a regional, you got to win these type of early season games.
I think it's definitely good to see our team doing so well in the preseason, but one thing you can't forget about is the fact that we're going up against a baseball powerhouse conference. We got South Carolina, 2-time national champions. We have Florida, who we lost to last year. So, I mean, we have to consider that when we're going into it and not let all the preseason hype get to our team's head because, you know, you never know what you're going to get when you're playing those good SEC teams.
But there's nothing wrong with having a little bit of swagger from this weekend. Going undefeated this weekend as well, going 4-0. They hit 326, which is something unheard of from the Mississippi State offense. And if they can carry that offense in SEC play, I think they'll be a very solid team.
It'll definitely be interesting to see how our team fares this year. A few weeks ago, Fletcher Cox, Vic Ballard, Charles Mitchell, and Quentin Salisbury participated in the NFL Combine. All 4 players had a stellar performance and are this week's Athletes of the Week. With the draft coming up, what will be the fate of these 4 players?
Well, obviously we have Quentin Salisbury going top 20. I'm thinking he's going to go to the Fletcher Cox,
Right.
excuse me. He's going to go probably number 15 Philadelphia Eagles, even though they need a linebacker. I think they're just going to go with Fletcher Cox as well because he's a great defensive presence on that line. But every other guy, they should probably go late day 2, sometime day 3. Charles Mitchell may not be drafted at all, but more than likely, we're going to be seeing most of the players going off the board in day 2.
One thing I really liked that Fletcher Cox did for Mississippi State was he actually placed 8th in the 40-yard dash, which is super exciting and definitely puts our name on the map. And like you said, he's going to be our draft all-star this year, like a KJ Wright of last year. So it's always good to have our players go in an early round. So it makes our program look good.
Going into the Combine, Fletcher is expected to, possibly be a late first-rounder, but he did really well and impressed a lot of scouts and with his times. I think he'll go probably somewhere in the 15 to 20 range. And Vic and Charles and Quentin, all 3 of them, I think they will be drafted, but it'll probably be later rounds.
And one thing you can't forget about, I mean, when I watched the Combine, one thing that kind of made me laugh that everyone knows about is Vic Ballard tripping. I mean, come on. But, hey, it gave him a little mention, something that every player is looking for.
Last weekend, Mississippi State softball went a combined 5-0. Including run-ruling their opponents in 4 of the 5 games and outscoring them 48-10. As winners of their last 6 games, what should we expect as they take on Florida and Georgia in the next week?
I think what we need to expect from the softball team is that they need to play extremely well. As you know, they're going up against UF, who is ranked 2nd nationally coming into the season. They're 15-1, and you have Georgia, who's number 7. They've only had 2 losses this season. So our softball team's definitely going into, yet again, another powerhouse conference sport in the SEC. So it'll be interesting to see how they're going to fare against these 2 highly ranked teams, and they have a great team. So
well, so far we've played some smaller teams that we've handled, but this will really show us where we stand. Because Florida and Georgia are both sitting at the top of the East right now and 2 of the better teams in the nation. I think that once we see how we play and then over the next week, we'll know if our softball team's for real, if they're going to be more of a middle-of-the-pack type team.
It's going to be tough coming out of the middle of the week where you're going to have to face number 2 team in the nation, Florida, and then you're going to have to refocus yourself to play the number 8 team in the nation, which is Georgia. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how the team adjusts their focus from going to that series to the other one. But this will show how good we're going to be in SEC play. I think if we come out with 3 or 4 wins, we'll definitely be a
split wouldn't be bad at all.
Absolutely. When we get back, we will sit down with the Clarion Ledger's Brandon Marcello and talk Mississippi State sports. Stay with us on the Sports Zone.